everyone relax? And the reason for your relaxation is that it is Sunday, April the 13th, and you are listening to Two Guys, One Cup, an AFL adjacent podcast. My name is Will Anderson.
And my name is Charlie Clausen. And are you hearing a little click, click, click when you talk? Talk.
When I talk, am I hearing a click, click, click? Is something clicking?
Maybe I'm imagining it.
I don't know. Maybe.
I can hear it there.
When I'm talking, is there a click?
When I'm talking, is there... No, okay. It seems to have gone. Just start again. Sorry.
Well, no, let's leave this in. People will love this. Good content. It's gather round, and this is what we've started with.
Hit the ground running. I'd like to start with an apology, Will.
To whom?
Well, to Bulldog supporters. It
What do you
seems
mean?
that the Two Guys, One Kiss of Death, we thought it just was in the purview of giving tips on on an early record on a Sunday.
Uh-huh.
But during the Doggies game the other night, I sent out a tweet saying, I tipped the Dogs to win the flag half jokingly, but the more I see Sam Darcy play, the more I'm starting to think it could actually happen. And that was when the Doggies were about 38 points up.
Oh, that's where I've watched it to. I'm going to watch the rest tomorrow. So
I still believe it. Because I had some Dogs fans jump on and say, oh, well done. Thanks, let you jinxed us. But let me just say, I like what I'm seeing from the Dogs. I know you're not winning games and you're giving up leads a lot. And so ordinarily that doesn't point to great form. But considering who the Dogs have out and the style of footy they're still continuing to play, like you've been in almost every game, like been in a winning position. You just have lacked those, 5 or 6 gun players to get you across the line. But I don't know. I'm not backing away from this. And also Sam Darcy is just, this is the second full game of his that I've watched. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
I mean, they're saying that Bont will possibly be back this weekend.
Is that against the Saints? Round 6. That's right.
I think that Bont has sped up his recovery based on Sam Darcy being the best player. Bont had only had 2 weeks as the greatest Bulldog of all time. He doesn't need to be mowed down so quickly. What about me?
Oh man, can you imagine if Sam Darcy wins a Brownlow before Bont?
Oh, he could though.
Yeah, exactly.
The way that he has gone from being a kid that I heard stories about off air when I was working with Luke Darcy, because he was a teenager and all the foibles and, dumb things that teenage boys do. Nothing nefarious, just the emergency call to hospital with a fish hook in your leg. You know what I mean? Just weird teenage shit, right? And now to just watch that person go from being a potentially a very good young footballer to, I mean, the comparisons I think have been too much. But the amount of talk there has been about, is he the best player in the game, or comparing him to the Wayne Carey effect and these, I think they are disproportionate reactions to where he is currently at. But the fact that he is even in that conversation, right?
This might be a niche reference for people of our generation, but do you remember when Paul Salmon kind of hit the scene for the Bombers in the early 80s, and he was this 210 centimeter guy who could play in the ruck, but he's quite mobile. He could play at full forward, and he just seemed like the greatest freakish player of all time. And then he did his knee, and obviously had to fight his way back, and then goes to Hawthorn and stuff. But I see a lot of similarities in the impression I got about Paul Salmon in his first 2 or 3 years that I get with Sam Darcy. It's just that, how do you match up on this kid? Some of the marks he can take, only he can take. That's a real advantage to have.
Yeah. But he's going to
ball 8 feet in the air. You guarantee that one guy will be able to get it.
Yeah, but he's never going to have an easy game. He gets belted constantly, body on body, because that is what people have to do. And you understand that, but that's his life now. His life is, we're playing Brisbane. Harris Andrews is going to be next to me all day long, or whatever the equivalent is for everybody's teams. And so for him to I think it's funny. I mean, I think Darcy's better set up to obviously handle it, coming from a football family himself.
Yeah.
But it must be a weird transition when your kid, who was 2 or 3 years ago, was like just your
Getting
kid.
fish hook stuck in his leg.
Right. Yeah. And was just your kid, your dumb kid that you like know everything about and you love dearly, but like was just your kid and had some aptitude for the sport that you loved, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then suddenly, like just a few years later, he's already being talked about as, if not the best player in the competition, one of the better players in the competition.
But at least like Luke Darcy would have had Nick Dacos as he had a couple of years to go, oh, I should just start I should buy a beach house.
Yeah.
Because
Like everyone's like, Darcy, why are you retiring from the media? He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I've seen how good the kid is.
Yeah.
And there's another one.
Is there another one?
There is another one.
Oh my God. So it's not even there can be only one. There could possibly be two.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Oh
There's
man.
a daughter as well. I mean, AFLW awaits.
Bloody hell. It's just amazing how the father sons have like just turned the Bulldogs around as a club in the last 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, do you think, would it be funny if we found documents that it was actually a program, that this was like Terry Wallace,
Yeah.
like it was a revolutionary footy thinker,
Yeah.
and his biggest legacy that he went in and he said, look, we're going to have to do a lot of disinformation and cover, but essentially this is a 20-year plan to win us a premiership.
Yeah. Danny Southern wasn't a footballer. He was actually a scientist. He was an embryologist.
An undercover scientist.
Yeah.
That look is what a scientist would think like a footballer would look like. Yeah, that's his cliche. That was him in football face.
Terry Wallace busts into the lab and he's gone, if I get one more load of sperm that doesn't fertilize, I'll spew up.
I think that's because it was tasting the sperm. Like, that's why he was always threatening to spew up.
Welcome to Two Guys, One Cup, an AFL adjacent podcast. Well, I'm assuming because the festival's on, you haven't had a chance to see many games this weekend.
I've seen bits and pieces over the weekend, but I've seen nothing today. I literally don't know any of the results of today.
In the spirit of footy media being so widespread and everyone's looking for their new kind of angle or how can I do an AI generated article, I'm going to run through every game and I'm going to give like a summation based on one team being good and one team being bad. And that's the headline for the game. Okay? You ready?
Great. I love this.
Adelaide versus Geelong. Geelong good. Collingwood versus Sydney. Collingwood good. North versus Gold Coast. Gold Coast very good. Carlton versus West Coast. West Coast very bad. Lions versus Bulldogs. Lions very good. Essendon versus Melbourne. Melbourne very bad. Richmond versus Freo. Richmond very bad. Saints versus GWS. GWS very good. And as we are recording this, I mean, the two guys won Kiss of Death had like 100% strike rate. Do we test our medal and go, okay, right now Port Adelaide is almost 70 points up over Hawthorn. Hawthorn's kicked one goal for the game with 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Port Adelaide are leading by 70 points.
But this is an aspect of this scientific study, because does awareness of the curse change the curse's capacity to work, right?
The efficacy of the curse.
Yeah.
Call Danny Southern. We need a scientific opinion on this.
Can you manipulate the curse? Because I think we both tiptoed across that line with Melbourne a few weeks ago when we were both.
We tested it.
Yeah. And so this now, because the truth of it is that I love this result. I tipped Port for the premiership. Like Hawthorn probably will win the premiership. And the fact that like Port, who've started terribly in this game, that they fined Ken Hinkley $20,000 for. He should, like, if they win this, I mean, he's got nothing to lose now.
He should just run around, do laps of the oval like an airplane.
Should start before the end.
Yeah.
Before the end, he should just start doing laps and just doing little, like, get in. Because what's he got to lose?
So if we do tip Hawthorn and they win, is that kind of almost categoric confirmation of our power?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because I'm like, we could tip, Port to win and they win. And it's like, okay, it doesn't really prove anything, but we could should we do it? Consciously tip Hawthorn. And then if they win, then we're like, fuck, we have power.
Well, I don't.
Or do you think this is a test by the universe to say, hey, don't mock God?
Yeah, I think don't mock God. That's how I feel. I feel like I feel like we're
He's blessed us with some kind of precognition, but he's like, don't flaunt it. If you flaunt it, I'll take it away from you.
I'll take it away. That's right.
All right, so we're going to tip Port Adelaide then.
I mean,
we don't want to anger God.
Where are we? Where are we?
I don't know.
I think
we
so.
started in science, then we went into theology. I'm all over the shop. I mean, this is a very weird episode.
When there's a lot of football media talking about the same things, the only place you can come for fresh football conversations is your friends at Two Guys, One Cup.
Who think they hear clicking for the first 2 minutes of the episode.
Who are now, well, I believe we're the pickle juice of AFL media.
Well, let's talk a little bit of football. Come on, we can do that. We can do that. So,
Charlie, would you say that Gather Round
is
a festival of football? Would you describe
festival de football? Yeah. I'm very jealous of this.
Watching it fun.
It's reminded me a little bit of when I was on Home and Away. Every year they do a telethon in Perth, which is like a real big deal.
Really big deal. Raise a huge amount of money.
Huge amounts of money for the Children's Hospital, but like the whole state gets behind it. And so, you'll do this 24-hour broadcast. And if you're a panelist or a guest or whatever, they've got you flying out to Bunbury to, do a raffle. Then you go out and judge a talent show. And the whole thing feels really like it's all for a good cause. You all feel great. People sort of come in from everywhere, disparate kind of celebrities as well. You might get like AFL footballers, but then you get, I don't know, Boom Crash Opera, all these kind of different people rubbing shoulders. So I think Gather Round looks like that. It's just, hey, something's on. Let's get together. Doesn't matter what it is. I saw they were doing the bounce live to a really big audience. Because, I mean, how many people in the bounce studio generally would you say? 20 tops?
Oh, no, I think you'd be surprised. I reckon it's probably about 30 to 40.
Okay. Well, 30 to 40 is still not huge. They were playing to look like hundreds.
Yeah, because also there's all these people who've travelled. And they're in Adelaide post the festival season in Adelaide where all the things to do happen. So this is football season.
Can you imagine if you're someone from overseas, you've just come for either the Fringe Festival or something, and you stick around for Gather Round and you see the bounce.
You're like, I assume the arts must continue in the same way. I enjoyed the Festival of Arts. I enjoyed the Fringe Festival and Woe Adelaide so much. I assumed that this festival of football that they also have must have the same artistic. And I went and saw.
It was a wonderful production. I believe it was called The Bounce. And one of them was very gruff, like a silverback gorilla, seemed to dominate the couch. Another one, I believe they called him Bernie Vince, was dumb, very dumb. They seemed to pick on him a lot. And then Gazy, I believe he was there. Gazy, he liked to fall over a lot. Pratfalls, brilliant.
I went and saw the Channel 9 Footy Show. And it was so sunny, they had to put an umbrella over Damien Barrett. Bravo, I said, for this physical comedy.
Would be fun. I mean, look, it's a shame it falls over.
Limo and Titus have already rorted it.
What do you mean?
Limo and Titus did a gig over there. Great idea, right?
Together?
Yes.
Right.
To do talk
but
about
I feel like
footy,
everyone's over there. Every footy influencer / podcaster like Gorringe and Buckley.
I don't follow any of those people though. I'm old school.
Right. You're turning on Channel 7 to see when...
I literally watched the Channel 9.
When's Lou Richards and Jack Dyer's panel coming on?
I watched the Channel 9 football show in real time this morning, and I enjoyed it.
The Sunday Footy Show on Channel 9 is borderline unwatchable, I think.
Well, I disagree.
And it goes for 2 hours, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it should go for 5. It's. I ate a hot cross bun and watched them bully Chompers for a bit. And then they bullied Damo, and then they bullied Brownie a bit.
Yeah. Or Matthew Lloyd. It's like, Matthew, you had to go to a guy for ducking out of a contest, but then we found a bit of this footage. Oh, look at that, Lloyd. He ducked his head. Oh, hey, you got the goal. You come on here and say that someone else backed up a contest. Oh, have a look. Oh, yeah. It's just like, oh, God, it's that for 2.5 hours.
It is absolutely that for 2.5 hours. If you're thinking, has it changed? No, that is all it is. Which is, I think the thing I enjoy about it is, what are they going to just completely pad with for 2.5 hours?
But you sort of feel like they've done everything. But every time you turn it on, they've found a new bit of footage of someone or a radio grab that they'll play, but they'll just bully someone.
Yeah, because their standards of what they'll bully someone for are so low. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the fact that Tony Jones got his teeth done
They're still talking about it.
is still to this day. Do you mean like that might be the greatest joke that's ever been done? They were showing footage of Lawrence Mooney walking across the footbridge in Adelaide. He must be over there doing some stuff. Oh, probably for
Front bar?
Front bar.
No. Yeah.
And so he was walking over, but Tony was doing his Channel 9 cross from the bridge. And as he walks by, Lawrence Mooney just goes, "Chomper." That was like 45 minutes of this morning. I mean, they did a whole backstory. It's kind of like the wrestling. So what I realized this morning as I was watching it was they found that they obviously had this like Lawrence Mooney calls Chompers, and then they go to the Chompers file where they've got all the various, like, do we need Beck Judd today? That's what it would always be. Is this an embarrassing thing? Do we need the Beck Judd footage? Or is it like just a lean into Chompers? Who do we use? What can Tony talk about? We can't bring up the Australian Open. We can lean into the teeth now. He's fine with that because it's a deflection from the real things that he has to deal with. So the fact that Mooney, they found a backstory where like Lawrence Mooney had made a joke about Chompers, and then Chompers had responded on 3AW or something. And like, so they built it up like it was a wrestling promo, like this whole thing, and lent into it. By the end of it, I was like, they're mortal enemies. This is great.
How often have they shown that clip of Beck Judd turning her face away when Tony goes to kiss her? Which, like, I've been on TV, right? And I've never had anything. I've had some, I've been in embarrassing stuff and done some embarrassing stuff on live TV. But that, like, I don't think I could ever go back on television if footage existed of that happening to me, unless it's a setup. Part of me still thinks that maybe, like, he was in on the joke.
No, he was not in on the joke. He was for a very long while, and probably still today, but he's finally got to the point where he realizes that's not, he does not like people using that footage.
Oh,
like, no, he
no,
doesn't.
I wouldn't. I mean, like,
No.
I would pay so much money to have it scrubbed just from existence. It is. It actually happened to me once when I was 16. I went to kiss a girl.
Yes.
And she turned her head away.
16. Yes.
And everyone at the party saw. And like,
Yes.
it was the talk of like the next 3 days at school was how embarrassing that was. But
I know,
it wasn't
and
on
that's
national
school.
TV.
I was on national TV with Beck Judd, the wife of
One of the most
Brownlow
famous-
medalist, one of the most famous footballers in the country, and herself, one of the most famous people going around. It wasn't with her.
I mean, is there a more embarrassing gaffe on TV that you can think of? Like, I mean, and we're talking a universe in which Daryl Summers exists. So
We're talking in a universe in which Chopper Reed got drunk on television and Normie Rowe,
punched on with Ron Casey.
Yeah, on the midday show.
Yeah, but I still reckon the Tony Jones one is
I
the
agree.
worst.
I reckon the punch is definitely down the list from that. So they play that all the time. Well, whenever they can. Whenever they feel like they can get away with it, they play it.
Yeah, that's awful. I'd move to the woods. I'd just retire, Dennis Committee style. Just be like, oh, you won't see me again after that.
I was trying to work out today what Tony Jones's appeal is. Like, I don't really know what. Like, you know what? Because
he's a conservative dude, right? Isn't he?
Yeah,
Like
he
3AW?
fills in on 3AW. He wanted
There you go.
like 3AW thing, but
wait. Let me get this straight. A middle-aged white man has conservative views.
Yeah, and he definitely leans into them, but it's hard to know if he fully believes and commits in them, or whether he's a bit reactionary or whatever. But I don't get what he is on the Channel 9 Footy Show on a Sunday morning. Like, what's his role? Like, it works, but I don't really know what it is.
Well, isn't he like?
Is it they just need a dad? Is that what it is?
Principal Belding.
Yeah.
He's the authority figure.
Yes.
Who's got a little bit of gravitas, just enough that
you need some.
It's fun to deflate him.
Right. Because otherwise the monkeys would have taken over the zoo, right?
That's right. I mean, you got Purple, but he doesn't have any authority. He's a credible journalist.
Yes, that's right. Which buys him no authority in this particular jungle, right?
Yeah.
The guy who is probably the most qualified and articulate to be able to lead the group would never be elected with that group of people to lead the group.
I was thinking about when you and I had Daisy and Rosie on the show last year, and you guys told me that Purple drives. What's his car? It's a sports car. It's a real flash.
Yeah, like a Monaro or something. I can't.
You know
remember.
how often
Camaro or something.
How often I think about that and just like it just does not gel in my brain. Like I cannot conceive of Damien Barrett getting into a car like that.
This is a weird thing to know, and I wouldn't, because I know Damien, but this is literally just a thing I've picked up from people saying it on podcasts or things they refer to or whatever. Like, so this is not me divulging any information. So they refer to how good a drinker he is quite a lot. Like on the rub and stuff. Like, and even just in the last couple of days when they're talking about who's the, because like in the football media, they all like to talk about who was the last one to leave or who's been going to all the events.
There's
or
been
whatever.
a lot of talk at gather arounds. Like, oh, so-and-so's been having a good time and everyone's having a good time. They're giving Ben Dixon shit on the bounce about that tonight.
Yeah. And there's been like scratchy voices all over the joint and everybody having a good time. But apparently the person who can really hold their own in those circumstances is Damien Barrett. I don't doubt that because he's a journalist. Journalists are hard drinkers, or traditionally were hard drinkers.
Yeah. Yeah. I just would have thought, still today they go out and it's all the big stories.
I don't think he is doing it to get stories.
I was just saying it's 3am, Smoky Bar, Purple's hitting up, I don't know, Andrew Dillon for some info.
Andrew Dillon looks like he's having a good time.
He does.
Yeah.
He looks young for the role, too young. It's almost like he's an intern or something.
But yeah, he's got that look. He's got a Paul Rudd-esque quality.
I think I went to school with his younger brother. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's an Old Zavarian because he was he played footy for the Old Zavs and was quite a good footballer. There's quite a few Dylans. I don't know what happened to Xavier, but there's quite a few Dylans. I remember different families, all with the same name. But I'm pretty sure he was a few years above me at high school.
I will occasionally see him at a pub near my house.
Really?
Yes.
Let me guess. I imagine he dresses in slacks, long sleeve button-up shirt, maybe never a tie, but open neck button-up shirt, never in a t-shirt, always long sleeves or a jacket.
So I'm going to say that most of the times I've seen him, I reckon it's been like a post-event or post-a-game or post something where he has the look of a man who at some stage during the day was wearing a tie, but is no longer wearing a tie.
Okay, yeah. All right. Is it after drinks crowd? Friday night after drinks crowd?
Well, yeah, I reckon.
Blue blazer with a kind of white cross stitch.
Yeah, just like a good, sensible, but you're right.
Country road.
A boyish, yes, but nothing too expensive.
Yeah, and there's nothing flash on his wrist either, right? Just like a good, decent.
I don't think so.
$400 watch.
I mean, not at the pub that he's at. I wouldn't take a good watch into that pub.
Right. What's he doing there?
I don't know. I haven't asked. Like when I was doing my big campaign that the McClellan Trophy was all corrupt, I did see him a few times when I was ranting about it on the radio all the time. And I was like, I wonder if this is a thing that
getting back to head office
that he has heard about. Is it even a thing that he has heard about? Because it came a bit of a cliche on the radio that we would talk about it. I was like, has he heard about this even? And if he had would he actually have a conversation with me about and just convince me I'm right or wrong, right? And I was like, please don't be the sort of person who walks into that pub and start initiating that. And so I walked by and went to the laundromat.
Can we just check in on a couple of teams that we've taken a close interest in over the years? Carlton got their first win on the board against West Coast.
Navy Blues.
I did check in with Blue Abroad, just scanned it. Much happy. I'm very happy for those guys.
I am too.
A lot of them, the commonality amongst the feedback was just relief. Thank God. Thank God we didn't lose that game. But then the Demons, oh boy. I watched that game. They're a mess. They're a real mess, and I feel bad.
So I got home at halftime. So I saw their really good quarter because they played pretty well in the third quarter, I thought, the Demons. I actually thought they were probably the better of the two teams in the third quarter.
Yeah.
But Essendon were at that point so far in front that all they ever had to do for the rest of the game was kind of, get a couple of goals in a row, and then suddenly Melbourne were back out of it. And then they just, you're like, what happened, Melbourne? What happened?
It just, to me, looks like it's the same thing. It's the forward line because they still seem to win around the contest and stuff. But they stream forward to nothing.
But isn't that like one of those people who's they've it's always the partner that's the problem, right?
Right.
Like
Like,
as
why
in
haven't
like
you fixed it?
they
You
have
know
a
what the
series.
issue
They have a
is.
series
You've
of
had it.
they have a
Yeah.
series of girlfriends, and
Had
they're
been
all
brown for a
they
while.
complain about the exact same thing, and they're like they've probably had plenty of really nice options. Maybe it's not the forward's fault. Maybe it's something more up the field that they need to address about the way that the forwards are being serviced, because every single person you would seem to put down the forward line seems to have trouble with what's going on. So do you keep just saying we don't have the right forwards?
I think so. I don't. I
Oh,
mean that.
oh no, that's
I,
terrible.
I think you just keep saying that because
But
they haven't. But
that
they.
doesn't work.
Well, no. Have they really gone hard at like a? I don't know. Like
Yes, for years. They're like
a
the
not.
Bulldogs and
Not.
big forwards like 15 years ago when we would just
So
like
what if Jamara goes to
obsess.
Melbourne next year? What if
Okay,
they? What if
bye.
they can?
See ya. Have a good time.
Yeah, clearly. Not a hard sell, but I mean, I imagine there's lots of clubs who'd be interested in Jamara who think that they could turn Jamara around.
Yes, of course, and I hope they would.
Yeah, and so the D's. Look, here's my solution for the D's is like,
Don't ruin Jamara. That's my solution. You know what? He doesn't need that either. You know what? He might need a fresh start, and if he needs a fresh start, then I'm fine with him getting a fresh start. I think Darcy is going to cover what we need. We've got Norton. I don't like if Jamara needs to be somewhere else to play his best football. Then like that's fine. Hopefully, we'll get something good for him. I think he could be one of the greatest all-time AFL players, but he didn't finish where he started, and you know maybe sometimes you're just part of the journey. But I wish him. I would love to see him play really excellent football against everyone but the Bulldogs. You know what I mean? Like, I wish him well, but he doesn't deserve Melbourne. That's not what he needs.
But what if, I mean, but what a Cinderella story. Because Melbourne have
How
a
about
lot of.
Sydney? Go to Sydney. Sydney got heaps of good midfielders, and like you can be out of the spotlight and go and live the Sydney lifestyle, buddy style.
Hear me out though, right? The Demons, as we discussed last week, you know, they've won that flag, but then they didn't really get the plaudits because of the fact that no one could be over there apart from people in Western Australia and those two guys who went to jail.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, how long did they go to jail for, do you reckon? Do you remember how long they went to jail for?
I think it was like, did they actually go to jail?
I don't know. They probably got a suspended sentence or something, right? Can we look up, can we find out what it is?
I'll look it up.
I would
You
love
keep
to know
talking.
this. Well, the reason that I'm asking you to look this up is because Melbourne, like none of the fans were able to be there, right? There was at the time a lot of like really kind of like mocking the entitlement of these guys and the risks that they took, and they should be punished severely.
3 months jail with a 7 month suspended sentence.
Okay. All right. Would you, in retrospect, if you said, I can be the only Melbourne fan who gets the, like, I mean, if
I'd do it. No, I said at the time I would happily go to jail.
But even more so now in retrospect when you know that it's
not
probably
happening again.
never going to happen again, right?
Yeah, like you would feel like an idiot if it was the start of a dynasty where they went on to win 3 more.
Yeah. If
And
they're
you're like-
Richmond, you're like, I did 3 months,
Yeah.
right?
You're right. He must be feeling pretty good about himself.
Right now, he's like 3 months. I did my time.
Yeah.
And, oh, did you see, like, oh, you're a Melbourne fan, are you? Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Where were you in 2021? Oh, watching at home, were you? Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got 27 years on your Melbourne scarf. You've been a member, so you must love the club. You've been a member for 27 years. So you were there in 2021, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
no.
don't. Oh, you don't.
See this
You weren't.
demon-shaped teardrop on my face? You know what that means?
The club means something to me. I bleed the red and blue.
That is true. Did the club actually pay for his, like, the court costs and stuff? They should.
I don't think so at the time, but in retrospectively, like the Ken Hinkley thing.
Yeah, that's right. Or like the Saints.
They
You
should
just-
give
you-
the money back, right?
Did you see this week that the Saints paid back because we were going to go into liquidation in the early 80s, and so the Saints board got the captain and vice captain at the time to convince the players and coaches to take like a pay cut, 20 cents in the dollar, and that money has been owing for 40 years. So the Saints finally did reparations and cleared all that debt.
That's cool.
Which they said was, it's a psychic weight off the club.
Yeah.
Like we've actually, so maybe this is what Melbourne needs for season 2025. Pay that guy's court costs, whatever the fines he received for violating COVID restrictions. And I reckon if you want to win in the court of public opinion, take it to Sky News and say, they tried to lock this guy down because of the fucking scamdemic, but look at him. Melbourne are paying off his fine. And then you're certainly going to win a certain portion of footy fans over.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right about that.
Jack Darling at least will be stoked. Warren Treadray, you get his vote.
I feel for like Broden Kelly.
Mm.
And the reason I feel for Broden is, we both, I mean, I had the opposite obviously happen in 2016 when the whole premise of our podcast was going to be that both of our teams had only one premiership. And then obviously the Bulldogs had that great year. But now we've had this is our 10th season. So, there's been our shares of heartbreaks and false expectations and all of those sort of things. And we understand. It's where we're better in this zone, right?
Mm.
Like this is what the show was meant to be about, the highs and the lows of supporting our teams. But Broden came in just at the wrong time, man.
Mm.
For a Melbourne fan, he's built a great football empire that he now has to do.
Yeah.
Knowing that just personally, there's going to be a lot of personal pain for him.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. There was times on this show where I'm like, just the last thing I want to do is talk about football. And I imagine for Broden, who does 3 shows a week, that must be even worse.
I mean, I even think about 2016. Sometimes I'm like, it was nice for me that I was at the perfect moment in my life where I got to be included a tiny amount in what was happening as well, right? It meant a good time in my life for it to happen. And it was a good, I was like, oh, well, this is nice. This podcast is good now. This is okay. This isn't going to torment me forever. There have been times since where I've honestly been like, what are we doing? Why have we made ourselves watch this game every week?
And I think the thing that Broden has going for him is similar to us, is that although we support certain teams, we are fans of football as a whole. I think you can tell from listening to that show is that Tom, Marnie, Broden, they just love footy and footy culture and footy stories. And, it's more than just their team.
I mean, but also for people who don't know, Tom barracks for Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And so
he's probably going to be real happy.
It's not just going to be that Melbourne aren't doing well. It's going to be that Tom barracks for Gold Coast.
Who look fucking awesome. My God.
Yes.
Isn't it so great too that Matty Rowell is finally getting back to that kid we saw for those 3 games in his first season? He just is such an exciting player.
He is. How just
muscular.
He's been working with a sprinting coach.
Right. I mean, of course he is. Imagine he would have nerd over summer would have been seeing every kind of body mechanic expert just to get that extra edge. But I'll be interested. I'm going to go watch the Swans play the Gold Coast in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be interested to see them up close because they look flawless. 2 teams actually that I watched this week. The Giants against the Saints, amazing. Yeah. I actually am not upset that we lost. I'm they're a much better football team.
The Giants are good.
Good across the board. And it's you look at Toby Green, there's just certain games where a player from the opposition takes your team apart, but you don't get mad at it. You're like, wow, look at him. He's amazing. Toby Green had one of those games today where it's this guy's so good at fucking football. We don't have one matchup for him. But then the other thing is, if you look down the Giants' entire lines, they've got tall, marking players on every line who are also very good by foot, and then a bunch of really quick runners around them. So it's they just, and the Gold Coast seem to be the same now, where it's just you just got a team of weapons. You actually have no chinks in your armor.
Yeah, it's weird because Matty Rowell didn't have any weapons, I think.
No,
that's what I remember hearing. But I'm interested in the idea of what would happen to the competition if it were to be a GWS versus Gold Coast grand final. I mean, it's a long way before that happens. But just imagine.
Do you reckon what number do you get? Do you reckon it is sub 80,000?
Nah, I reckon it sells out still. I reckon people want to go to the grand final, right?
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that people, and you and I have been lucky enough to go to grand finals that were not our teams competing in them, and it's still
a lot of fun. It's actually better in a lot of ways when you're not anxious about the result.
I just think that there's only so many neutrals anyway. Both of those cities probably would be fine corporate wise, like for, getting people along. So I would love it. I'd go. If they offered me a ticket to it, I would go. I think that would be amazing.
And the Giants have to wear that pink Guernsey. It's fucking awesome. And it's like, I feel like this year the Gold Coast, even their socials, they're embracing the Gold Coast a bit more.
I absolutely
you agree
with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's so good. And they are just, it's just that Damien Hardwick seems to fit in there as well. Like the way he does his press conferences, he's got a bit of that Tony Cochrane kind of attitude. Like, did you see there was that story about Matt Rowell's apparently bought a house in Victoria?
Oh, yeah.
And they asked Dimmer about it, and he was like, yeah, it's a good investment. Melbourne's a bit of a slow market at the moment. Prices are low. Probably a good time to get in. It's just like, I love it.
I mean, that is true.
It's really true.
He wasn't wrong.
It's all well and good to be talking about AFL hotties.
Yeah.
But have you guys considered another topic? Players who would know they're not going to make the hot list, so have gone full character instead. Players with like haircuts and tats. And this is from Sally. So she's nominated a few. So Zach Tui when he was a player.
Yes.
Maxi Gawn, Libba, obviously. Luke Jackson, Rory Lubb, Peter Laddams. And then I was thinking about who's that weirdo, the Bulldogs, I don't know if he still plays for you guys. He had like the really long black mullet and he had the tattoos. He looked like a full speed ice addict. You know what I'm talking about?
Not based on that description.
He had tattoos and a long black mullet and he played for the Bulldogs. I think last year, or at least the year before, real scrawny looking. He looks like he's got like a DVD player under his arm and he's sprinting down the wing.
Oh, like a really long mullet?
Yes.
I came from Collingwood. What's his name? No, he's a good player. He's still around, I think. Oh,
but
shit.
But he's a real like scungy looking weirdo.
Yes.
And then I was thinking about that other kind of goth guy. Remember the goth dude who used to play for Port Adelaide and then he went to North? And he had like jet black dyed hair.
Oh, yes.
What was his name?
I can't remember.
The goth man?
Yeah, like the emo one.
No, hang on. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Game with a P. Can't remember. Who's the guy from Collingwood who plays for the Bulldogs?
Oh, no, I didn't Google it. I was like...
Sally also said Bo McCreary could fit into that category. And so maybe we should come up with two teams. So by the end of the year, we could have our best 22 for the hotties and the noddies.
I mean, the characters I love.
Yeah.
I just think that to me is like, because is it even one of those things that early in your career, maybe your agent has to just be like, hey, we've had a bit of a look around and there's just so many good hotties. Like, you might have been a hottie at the lower leagues, like probably where you played, you were not just the best player, but you were also the hottest player in the league. But up here in these leagues, there's just going to be, there's only so much room for hotties and the standard of hotties is much higher, but you could be an excellent character.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, because I think that's what happens with most ruckmen, right? Like most ruckmen arrive at a footy club with a short back and sides because you're always going to look like a character when you're ruckman because you're this giant lug of a man. So you can either go like the gawny hipster route, like why don't you, serve coffee out of your garage and play vinyl on the weekends, or you can go like Will Minson vibe, like, hey, I'm a jazz head, blah, blah, blah.
But Bob Murphy was like, he had his own, he was a character, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Rockabilly, not rockabilly, but like rock and roller.
But yeah, like hipster, rockabilly, whatever that's a character.
Yeah. All right.
Caleb Poulter was the footballer we were trying to name.
I said game with a P. Yeah. What did you Google? Goth player who used to play for Port and North?
No.
Right.
Collingwood to Bulldogs players.
Oh, hang on. So that's Cal Poulter is the he's not the goth guy. He's the speed freak. Who's the goth guy who went from Port Adelaide to North Melbourne?
Sorry. Yes, okay.
But you know what I'm talking about. It's a subtle difference.
That is now what I'm going to Google. Who went from Port to North, right?
Yeah.
From Port to North.
Halfback flank, I think he played.
Yeah, no, I know who you mean. Jasper Pittard.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Have you got any gothy photos of him? Did you find any where he's got like his dyed black hair and his... I feel like he had like a, I don't know, Sisters of Mercy tattoo on his thigh or something. While you looking for that, this email came in from Tom, his Collingwood supporter. Great discussion about the best looking players in the AFL. You forgot to mention Jack Ginnivan's catwalk skills from a few weeks back. As a mid-30s Pie supporter, I am noticing the team making strides in the looks department in recent years. The Rat Pack has become Fly's good-looking guys. The metrosexual days of the mid-2000s are making a comeback. Before delving into my top 3 Brownlow medal style, I have some honourable mentions.
Great.
Okay, honourable mentions for the Pies. Darcy Moore, the epitome of the lead singer of a band. He's attractive, but you don't know why. I get that.
Yeah.
He's also enormous too. A mate of mine is a DJ, and Darcy Moore did a guest set with him, and he sent me a photo of them together, and he's enormous. Like, he's so fucking big. Billy Frampton, Shitrig Frampton, lovingly known as the Franchise, soon to be gracing the covers of Abercrombie and Fitch's autumn catalogue. Well, not with that rig, you won't. The Dacos brothers, squeaky clean and good looking to their mother, high school sweetheart material. Now, for my votes.
Yes.
1 vote, Jay Elliott. As
Yep.
my stepmother said to me circa 2010, I stood behind that cute little Collingwood player with the tattoos at the ATM. He's my favourite. The older he's gotten, the more his rooster has thrived.
Well, I've got to say that he is, like, he's one of these guys, if he'd run this for the last 10 years, he's like that character in Lost who never aged. Like, he feels a little timeless to me. Like, I mean, we know there's different eras because he's got the tattoos and more tattoos and etc. But
I
there's
think
still
that's
like a look that he has that is like aged very well.
I think the issue for me with Jamie Elliott is the tattoos timestamp him literally, and I can't get past it. It looks like, because there's, good looking, like a Brad Pitt has looked good every era of Brad Pitt. He's always moved with the times, whereas Jamie Elliott seems to be stuck in 2005.
Well, it's hard to back off the tattoos, Once you're in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, I guess, but is there anyone who's rolled with the tattoos and made them look like David Beckham? I guess he's the sort of pioneer.
Yeah, and I think that Jamie Elliott's got that sort of vibe. Like one of those guys that, like, you put him in a nice suit with a bit of tattoo poking out of the neck.
And you're like, this guy is classy but rugged.
Yeah, that's right, right?
Yeah. 2 votes, Isaac Quaynor. The AFL Adonis ripped his shit and developing his own cologne. Is that right? What's more to say? He was also nice to my dog whilst he kicked a footy at Victoria Park one afternoon, so no bias. Yeah, I can double down on that one. I saw Isaac Quaynor in Byron, and it wasn't even a particularly hot day, but he was shirtless. Yeah. And like the whole street stopped. Even people who didn't know who he was were just like, that's fucking amazing.
Amazing. Can you imagine having the power to do that?
Just taking your shirt off.
That you could stop, like in an emergency, maybe someone's like running into traffic and you're just like, I'll stop this by just taking my shirt off.
Check out these. 3 votes. Guess who?
That's interesting. Okay, so this is very interesting to me because I would have said that your 2 nominations in the other places would have probably been the 2 that I would have gone with at Collingwood. So am I missing someone very obvious?
Someone who has been brought up every week so far. Real kind of straight down the line, good looking dude who you have a bit of a connection to.
Oh, I have a little bit of a connection.
A minor connection. Well, a minor connection.
Okay. Who used to play for the Bulldogs?
Patrick Lipinski.
Patrick Lipinski, yes.
Coined as sexy by my fiance, one of the reasons why she now enjoys watching the Pies over her childhood team Essendon. Sexy snap, a favourite line of hers during play. He's a true underdog in the Rooster discussion due to his role player status, but the bloke is hot.
It's true. But if we're talking about difference between, like, if we're taking out your ability as a footballer as a measurement of how hot you are, right? Because I think with a lot of these people, when you look at someone like Patrick Cripps or whoever, you're like, yeah, you're handsome, but I think part of it is at least because we know what you can do with your body and what you can achieve, right?
That's worse than you meant it, but yeah.
Whereas Lipinski is like a very classy player, but like, yes, more a role player status, but in the hotness stakes, like he's a leader. He is a top class player, one of the elite in the AFL.
One person I admitted when I clipped that video of Tuke Miller, the player immediately before him was Lockie Weller. And I'm like, Lockie Weller's a handsome fella. Lockie Weller's a handsome fella.
Yeah.
One more thing on the AFL Hotties and then we'll move on. This is from Stephen. I'm a little late to the party. I heard your conversation about the hottest players. and I have to chip in. Last year, I started a podcast with my fiance called The Rookie in Red and White, where she watched her first season of AFL following the Swans. As part of the process, she identified a hottest player every game, resulting in a competition bracket at the end of the season.
Interesting.
Therefore, I can categorically state that Marcus Bontempelli is the hottest player, with Dane Rampey second. Some honourable mentions include Christian Petrarca, Jack Darling, Ben Keys, and Jarman Impey. My fiancée knew nothing about the players, making her a complete blank slate, so it's pure objectification.
I feel like...
So that rules out your Patrick Cripps kind of element there, because she's coming in with no knowledge of how good these players are.
I just don't think it does.
Why not?
Because I think if you saw a still image of the Bont, no disrespect...
You'd vomit.
No.
You'd vomit and rip out one of your eyes.
But compared to some of those others, I just don't think if you're just like, if you're in a modeling casting agency and they're all the various looks, I don't think Bont is, I'm not saying he's not handsome. He is very handsome. But part of why he's so handsome is how he moves and how he plays. And like it elevates him as like, and when you see his curly hair and his beard and all those sort of things in flight, you're like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
Is it
but
a bit like the Adam Driver thing? Like Adam Driver,
Adam Driver.
You're like, ugh. But then he acts, and you're like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Oh yeah, you put him next to a horse, and you're like, "Oh."
Is he gonna fuck the horse?
Oh, that wasn't what I was implying. Whatever you want to imagine. No, I was thinking more like a perfume commercial. I've seen,
right.
Anyway,
that makes more sense.
Also, it also is because on the screen where I'm looking at you, behind your head, there is a horse. So it might just be subliminal, like horse
imagery. We got a letter last week from someone called Jordan, who was saying that her husband calls Charlie Curnow Pearl, and we couldn't work out why. And she said, it's a terrible joke. He calls him Pearl because he's necklace.
Oh.
It's good. I like that. It's a good footy nickname.
Yeah.
No?
But is it bullying? Is it bullying, Charlie?
Oh, turn it up, Will. Turn it up. Here's a clip from you. When they tried to kiss someone and they turned their head away. You're an idiot. I'd kill myself if I was you. That's awful. You suck. Aaron says, hey, guys, regular listener from London here. I've been meaning to raise this, but what is with Nathan Buckley's sideburns/beard? I always see it when I'm watching on the couch. They're trimmed perfectly along the jawline, but it makes his cheeks look strange. Front on is fine, but side angle gives me the Uggs. Keep it up. Go Pies. I know what you're talking about. He's got one of those very trimmed beards. He doesn't fill in the cheeks. It just like comes on the jaw. Yeah. Like he's in a boy band.
I know. But I also think that suits what I think his personality is.
Neat. Precise.
He's like one of those basketball coaches that you're like, yeah, you could kill someone.
Yeah. Why does it suggest homicide?
I don't know why it suggests it. It just gives that vibe, I think.
Yeah. I think it's because he's got a very square jaw. And I imagine if he was to grow hair, his face would look massive. Like he's trying to...
Whereas he wants a streamlined look.
Yes. He's trying to emphasize his cheekbones.
Neatness.
Yeah.
Order.
Our listener, Kevin, our American listener friend, was wanting some advice about watching the footy in Canberra.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Jenny is a Canberra resident. She's written in. I have lived in Canberra for 10 years. I'm very experienced with the Monica vibe. I suggest Kevin have a beer at the Kingston Hotel pre-game.
Oh, yeah?
Then spend some time on the hill during the match, which is all general admission. There are donuts and excellent Capital Brewing beers available. The ground does not have nets behind the goal, so Kevin could even attempt to take a specky on a pack of kids who stand behind the goals.
Yes.
Great, right? People in Canberra love when you wear neutral merch, as it's rare to see most teams come to town.
Yes.
Kick to Kick on the Oval is on afterwards every game, and confirming that despite appearances, I do not work for Visit Canberra, but I truly believe Monica is a superb
great information. This is exactly the information we were looking for.
Yeah, I forwarded this to Kevin. I was like, she's talked me into going.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Jam donuts, beer, standing on the hill, marking the footy behind the goals.
Yeah, kick to kick.
It's awesome.
Doing the hamstring, going to hospital.
Popping a finger, spraining them fingers. Can't type, lose my job. Wife leaves me. Oh, you're an idiot. Your wife left you. What a loser. Play the clip. This came in from Mark. Hey guys, a highlight of last week's episode was where you discussed Brad Shepherd, the West Coast All-Australian defender who played for 11 seasons and 216 games, of which you both had not a single recollection. I also couldn't remember much of Brad and did some data analysis to try and find out why. I have a hunch that it's simply due to fixturing, with both Perth teams seemingly always playing in the final match of the round on a Sunday evening and having very few primetime slots throughout the round. So I've gone back and I've analysed from season 2022, which was the first regular season back after COVID, up until round 16 of 2025. What? After which is a floating fixture. And I've tallied up how many games West Coast and Freo have in the following categories. Okay, so up to this season. Great. So Thursday night games, and this data might be slightly flawed as Thursday night football hasn't always been on throughout the season. Friday night games, I've only counted standalone Friday nights, excluding where these form part of a double header, and Sunday twilight games that make up the final match of the round, usually 4:40 or 6:40 on the East Coast. Over that time, there have been 86 rounds of football. I've excluded rounds where the fixturing was heavily doctored, such as Easter, Anzac Week rounds, Gather Round, and the final round of each season, as this, of course, doctored heavily to build suspense. Removing these outlier rounds, I analysed 77 rounds of home and away football over the last 4 seasons and found the following between the two Perth teams. Thursday night games, how many do you think they've had?
Out of 77, they've had 2.
Correct.
Really?
Button, 2.
Okay.
Only 2, both of which were for Fremantle this year. Standalone Friday night games out of 77.
15.
7. 7 out of 77 rounds, 9%. Sunday twilight.
30.
Majority. 45.
45%
rounds, just shy of 60%. So it's simple. The reason you can't recall any Perth-based players is simply because nearly 60% of the time they're playing on a Sunday night, probably after you've recorded the week's episode.
Yes.
Like many of us, you might even only half watch the match, but ultimately lose it to your Sunday night routine, which is...
Well, because we're not a proper footy show either. Yeah. So as soon as the episode is recorded, you're irrelevant to us because we won't talk about it next week, right? So because we won't barely talk about the games that happened next week. We're not talking about the one that we missed from last week next week. And
exactly.
So I find these days that I'm like, I don't need to know that.
Did we give a call on who we said was going to win this game?
I think that I said Fremantle would probably win.
Well, they're not playing, so you can't tip Fremantle.
I think Fremantle will come in and win. Sorry, I've had a very long day.
Yeah. Do you know where you are? You just
not really.
You've had a concussion for the past hour, just pretending.
The Prime Minister of Australia is John Howard.
No, Port Adelaide are 55 points up on Hawthorn in the third quarter. So, unfortunately, I don't think our magical powers are going to take effect tonight. Well, 2 guys, 1 kiss of death.
I like that though, because isn't it going to be fun to see what happens at the end of the game?
Right. So, okay. Well, we'll see. If you're listening to this, you know how it ended.
Yeah, true.
Just one final bit of mail I want to share with you, Will, and then I'll let you go because you seem like you had a big weekend.
Oh man, I've had 2 shows today, and anyway, it's been a long. Hi everyone, thanks for listening to the show. You can follow us on Patreon for bonus content. We've got other podcasts that are all in this feed. Everyone relax. I'm doing shows all over the place, comedy.com.au.
That's a great one. You should do the plugs every week. You're much better at it than I am. This is from Tony from WA. Hi guys, I'm an early 50s balding man.
Oh.
And a tragic Freo supporter.
Uh-huh.
Just as Charlie often asks, why can't St Kilda be good like Hawthorn? I often look at Pearce, Fife, Jackson and Mundy et al. And think, why can't I have their long flowing locks?
Yeah, fair enough.
And secondly, these guys are made for an indie rock band.
Yes.
I've run my theory past my fellow Freo supporters, or my fellow Freo supporter Wes, who agrees they are made for indie rock. So in my employer's time, I did some lowbrow editing of a picture of Nirvana, replacing Dave, Kurt and Chris with Jackson, Fife and Pearce. See below. While the editing isn't perfect, the 3 of them blend nicely in and could pass in for a 3-piece indie 90s act. So I'll just share this with you.
Yeah,
so
share it with
check
me.
it out.
I'm fascinated to see this.
I think he's done a great job. He was poo-pooing his skills, but it's actually done a real good. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
What do you reckon?
Oh.
Pierce, Fife, and Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
They look like they could be a three-piece from Newcastle or something, or maybe even Perth in the
Yes.
1990s.
Yeah, absolutely. That works
Really well.
for sure. I mean, should we be lobbying the AFL that Fremantle should be able to play in band t-shirts, like band style? Like maybe Freo could be the casual clothes team.
Freo, Richmond, who else? There's got to be the Doggies have got a bit of indie band about them.
Yeah, but I'm literally saying their away strip should be casual clothes. Wear whatever you want. Like
Yeah,
they should be able
casual
to wear-
clothes day.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But they should be the casual clothes club where they have to like dress in like they have to play in whatever this sort of gear is.
And that's like the sort of grunge ethos, right? Like go to an op shop and you've got
That's
like,
right.
the club
It's
gives
op
them
shop round.
$20 to go to the op shop.
That's right.
Find
it's
an
$20
outfit to wear to
at
the
the op
airport.
shop round and you have to play in the clothes that you bought.
I love it. All right, that is Two Guys, One Cup for this week. As I said, the video goes up early and the episode goes up early on Patreon, or you can just wait 24 hours and get it at our YouTube channel, Tofop TV. And we'll be back again next week. Play on, not 15.
Boo!
Little footy loving dickheads, dreaming about a Premiership Cup. We love our clubs, but they never win. 2 flags in 100 years. The shit house. If you think we'll be insightful, clever, or just well researched, we're here to say that's not the case. We'll just go out and wing it. We are 2 guys, 1 cup.